Welcome back to another episode of Quick Picks with the Geek. I am your host, Bro Power the Geek. Let's get weird, folks, because next up we've got a flyweight fist fight that's going to move so fast your TV might buffer just trying to keep up. It's Bruno Bulldog Silva, the Brazilian buzzsaw, taking on Joshua the Fearless Van, who fights like he's trying to get signed by Marvel and Dana White at the same time. Let's dig in. First up, Bruno Silva, coming in as a plus 390 underdog with a record of 14-6. That's right, plus 390. Vegas said, "Bruno, we respect your effort, but we don't believe in you like that." But hold on. This man's nickname is Bulldog, which is both a compliment and an accurate assessment of his fighting style. Just picture a pit bull who took a jiu-jitsu seminar one time and then decided spinning elbows were a lifestyle. Bruno's a black belt in BJJ, but you wouldn't know it from recent performances because man's been out here throwing hands like he forgot the floor exists. He's got 6 knockouts, 4 subs, and a spinning back fist that comes out of nowhere like your boss at 4:59 p.m. on a Friday. He's got some decent power, a solid chin, and the type of cardio that makes you question your training camp halfway through round 2. Now, yes, he hasn't been scoring takedowns lately, but maybe he just realized punching people in the face is way more fun. His last loss came to Manel Kape, who is basically a landmine in human form, so no shame there. Bruno's the kind of guy who's dangerous everywhere, but doesn't really dominate anywhere. Think of him as the MMA version of a Swiss Army knife, has all the tools, but sometimes it's just not the one you need in the moment. Still, if he can land big and maybe sneak in a wild grappling transition, that underdog line starts to look juicy. Now let's talk about Joshua the Fearless Van, a minus 530 favorite. That's not a betting line, that's Vegas just giving you a spoiler alert. This dude is 13-2 and looks like he's sprinting through the flyweight division on speedrun mode. Fast, powerful, clean boxing, slick defense, good grappling. He's like if someone made a UFC creative fighter and gave him extra stats for fun. His striking is chef's kiss, super technical, always switching targets, checks leg kicks, and throws combinations like he's playing Street Fighter and found a cheat code. He's not just offensively sharp, he's defensively sound too. You try to hit him, he slips and returns fire like it's his full-time job, which it is. But what impressed me the most was that last fight against Ray Tsuruya, who's basically a grappling goblin. Tsuruya attempted 21 takedowns. 21. And Van was like, nah, I'm good. Stuffed most of them, popped right back up like a whack-a-mole with a black belt. Van's pace is relentless. He starts a little slow sometimes, then turns into a flyweight Terminator. He doesn't slow down, and you can't make him stop unless you catch him with something huge. But good luck landing that because he's got the reflexes of a cat on espresso. So, who wins? Let's not get it twisted. Bruno Silva is dangerous. He's got the kind of power that can shift a fight in a blink, and he's gritty as hell. You don't survive Manel Kape and finish 4 guys before that by being a pushover. If he catches Van clean, this could get very interesting very fast, and if he can actually get some takedowns going, maybe we finally see Van forced to grapple in the deep end. But the issue? Van is like that kid in class who does the group project and corrects the teacher's math. The dude is sharp, aggressive, and clearly leveling up with every fight. I expect Van to stuff Bruno's takedown attempts, light him up on the feet, and keep pushing a pace that Bruno just can't quite keep up with. Bruno might land something flashy, but Van's just too slick, too smart, and way too fearless. Official pick, Joshua Van by unanimous decision. It'll be a fun scrap. Bruno's tough and might land some heat early, but Van is the cleaner technician, the better athlete, and the guy with the momentum of a hype train that's already left the station. Expect volume, speed, and at least one sequence where Van lands 5 strikes before Bruno finishes his blink. If Bruno wins, I'll eat my words with a spinning back fist. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a beat when the next video drops. And don't be shy. Leave a comment below and let me know who you got winning this fight. Let's see who really has the crystal ball around here. Until next time. Welcome back to another episode of Quick Picks with the Geek. I am your host, Bro Power the Geek. All right, up next we've got a matchup that feels like a trap boss battle in an RPG. You walk in thinking it's just another fight, but the next thing you know, you're flatlined by a left hand you didn't even see. It's Azamat, the professional Mirzakhanov, versus Brenson, the Gorilla Ribeiro. And no, not that gorilla, the Brazilian one with knockout power and questionable fight IQ. Let's dig in. Let's kick it off with Azamat Mirzakhanov, who's walking into this as a minus 590 favorite, which is Vegas's polite way of saying, don't bet on the other guy unless you like living dangerously or hate your own money. He's 14-0, undefeated, and a master of sports in Army hand-to-hand combat, which sounds like the kind of martial art you learn when you want to beat someone up politely while wearing camouflage. Now look, Azamat's resume might not be full of world beaters, but the man is dangerous. The power in his left hand is like a guided missile. And when he lands, it's not just damage, it's a Shakespearean tragedy. 10 knockouts, most of them violent, and that's just the appetizer. Once he drops you, the ground and pound looks like he's mad at the mat for catching you. His striking is compact, clean, and efficient. No wasted motion, no crazy spinning stuff. He's like a sniper with a beer belly, just sets traps, avoids counters, and waits for you to give him a chin to test. That left cross and overhand, it's like the light switch for your consciousness. And he will dig to the body as well. Ask Devin Clark's body, it met the liver shot that made it rethink its contract with the rest of his organs. He's also got a solid chin, by the way. Took a head kick from Devin and walked it off like he was adjusting his thermostat. The real question with Azamat is, what happens if someone drags him into deep waters on the mat? That hasn't really happened yet. He's looked great, but he's mostly faced dudes who strike, stand there, or go down quicker than a fight card with Chris Daukaus on it. Now on to Brenson, the Gorilla Ribeiro, and I gotta say, he's one of the most confusing fighters in the UFC. At plus 420, Vegas sees him as a long shot, but let's be clear, this guy is dangerous when he feels like it. Ribeiro is 17-7 with 9 knockouts and 7 submissions, so yeah, he's well-rounded. Like a pizza cutter that sometimes forgets it's supposed to cut. One fight he's out here flipping positions with Kimuras and dropping bombs, and the next he's staring at the ceiling, wondering how Magomed got him down again. Consistency is not his thing. His fight style is basically choose your own adventure, but every page leads to either violence or a nap. He's aggressive. He throws heat and he can take your head off if he catches you clean. But his defense is like a brick wall with one of those cartoon holes in it. You just walk right through it. He's been knocked out 3 times, submitted twice, and when he fights someone who can wrestle, he turns into an open mat for drills. He hasn't stuffed a single takedown in the UFC, which makes me wonder if he even knows that's allowed. He's got the skills, but his fight IQ is somewhere between bar fight and YouTube prank gone wrong. He'll trade when he shouldn't, chase finishes when he should recover, and sometimes completely forgets that grappling was an option. So who wins? If you told me Brenson came in here and pulled off a slick sub or landed a wild haymaker KO, I wouldn't be shocked. The guy's got tools. He's like a toolbox from IKEA, full of potential, but you just don't trust it to hold anything heavy. Azamat, on the other hand, is calm, measured, and fights like a man who gets paid by the clean knockout. He's hard to hit, even harder to finish, and if you leave your chin out like Brenson tends to, Azamat's gonna test it like it's got a warranty. The biggest issue here, Brenson does leave that chin up, a lot, like it's trying to catch snowflakes, and when Azamat finds it, that's not a flurry, it's a full-on blizzard. Official pick, Azamat Murzakanov by KO. I wanted to pick Brenson too, I really did. I love chaos. But until he starts defending takedowns or protecting his chin like it's worth something, I just can't. Azamat's too sharp, too disciplined, and too experienced not to take advantage. I think the left hand finds a home early, and Brenson finds himself asking if Herb Dean always looked that blurry. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a beat when the next video drops. And don't be shy. Leave a comment below and let me know who you got winning this fight. Let's see who really has the crystal ball around here. Until next time. Welcome back to another episode of Quick Picks with the Geek. I am your host, Bro Power the Geek. Let's crack open these early prelims with a little lightweight chaos and a whole lot of potential CTE. First fight of the night, we got Quillan Salkeld versus Yanal Red Fox Ashmuz. And folks, if your nickname is Red Fox, you either fight with feral intensity, or you just look like the guy from Sanford and Son after a sunburn. Let's find out. Quillan Salkeld coming in as a minus 400 favorite with a record of 8-1, and buddy, this man shoots more than a paparazzi at a Kardashian wedding. In his Contender Series fight, my man shot 22 takedowns. That's not a fight. That's a full CrossFit session. But it worked. He landed 9 of them and showed us that his cardio is built like a Toyota Tacoma. Not flashy, but runs forever. Then he made his UFC debut and said, "Wrestling? Pfft, watch this," and knocked out Jubilee in the first round. So now he's showing us he's not just a human backpack. He's got hands too, and they come from the weirdest angles. He's got 3 knockouts, 3 subs, and a neck that says, "No, I will not get choked out today." He's good in a scramble and will find a submission while scrambling. I really think people sleep on his striking too. He throws solid leg kicks and counters with combinations. Good size, solid chin, and his strength of schedule before the UFC wasn't made entirely of baristas and Uber drivers. He fought some real dudes. He is an all-around good prospect to keep an eye on. Then we got Yanal Red Fox Ashmuz, a plus 300 dog with an 8-1 record and a style that screams every punch is a lottery ticket. He's got 4 knockouts and 2 subs, and if you didn't watch his debut KO over Sam Patterson, please go do that right now. He hit that man so hard Sam started speaking Hebrew. But then Yanal lost to Chris Duncan, and now we're not sure if he's a world beater or just a guy who got lucky against a tall man with no head movement. He bounced back against Trevor Peek, which is cool, but let's be honest, Trevor Peek's striking defense is don't die. That's the game plan, and he might not even know that's what he's doing. Yanal's takedown defense looks decent, and he does get back to his feet when taken down, but most of that was against guys who couldn't wrestle a Labrador into a bathtub. He's shown flashes of offensive wrestling too, but again, he did that against Trevor Peek, a man whose fight IQ might be in single digits, but whose chin is made of vibranium. Yanal has good power on his feet, and if he can land clean with an overhand, it can change the momentum of this fight. So, who wins? This one's closer than the odds suggest. Both of these guys can knock you out, both can grapple, and both have enough confidence in their hands that their corners are probably yelling, "No, don't stand with him," at the same time. But Quillen has a slight edge in both areas. He's got the more diverse grappling game, he throws those unorthodox bombs that are hard to read, and he's not afraid to shoot 15 takedowns in a round just to drain your gas tank, like he's siphoning fuel during the apocalypse. Yanal's best shot? Land the kill shot early before the takedown tsunami hits. Quillen's best shot? Mix it all up. Frustrate the power striker and wear on him until he's swinging at ghosts by the 3rd round. Official pick. Quillen cell-killed via decision, or late ground and pound TKO. Either way, I think we're watching a man slowly turn his opponent into grappling soup while avoiding a rocket launcher disguised as a right hand. All right, fight fans, next up on the Chaos Carousel is a featherweight clash between Ju Sang-yu and Jekka Sitendangan Maut Saragi, which loosely translates to the Deadly Kick, which is a phenomenal nickname, and also something I screamed after trying a roundhouse kick in my living room and taking out a lamp. Let's dive in. Ju Sang-yu, the undefeated South Korean prospect, walks into this one as a minus 500 favorite with a crisp 8-0 record, and the kind of striking that makes coaches cry tears of joy. This man's jab is so sharp, it could cut through spam emails. He's fast, I'm talking stole your Wi-Fi password and was gone before you noticed. Fast. His straight punches land with the kind of precision that makes you think he's playing Fight Night Champion, while everyone else is in slow motion. Now this guy doesn't just jab your face off, he'll spice it up with spinning kicks to the body just to let you know he's got that extra flair. He's got solid footwork, excellent distance management, and the confidence of a man who's never been ghosted. He moves like he's dancing on hot coals, always in and out, never overstaying his welcome. If there's a knock, it's that he sometimes fights like he's in an anime, chin up, hands down, and trusting in the power of friendship to dodge punches. That's great until somebody turns your chin into a GPS destination. But hey, 3 knockouts on his record and 0 losses. That tells us the style's been working so far. He can mix in takedowns when needed, and his takedown defense holds up better than most people's New Year's resolutions. Now here comes Jekka Saragi, rocking a plus 375 dog tag and a 14-4 record. This man fights out of Indonesia, represents Wushu, and throws leg kicks like he's mad at the floor. His nickname, Si Tendangan Maut, sounds like the villain in a Bruce Lee film, and honestly, he fights like it too. All aggression and violence, with 0 interest in your plans for tomorrow. Jekka's got 9 knockouts, 4 subs, and a don't blink style. He's not trying to win a point fighting contest. He's trying to spin your consciousness around like a fidget spinner. Speaking of spinning, he has a nice spinning back fist and elbow. He's aggressive, he swings with bad intentions, and he will absolutely try to kick your soul out through your calf. That said, his takedown defense has more holes than a block of Swiss cheese. Remember when he fought Jubilee? My guy got held down for 7 minutes. That's not a fight, that's a grappling internship. And even though he's game on the feet, he's been submitted 3 times, which means if the fight hits the ground, there's always a chance he panics and gives up his neck. But Jekka's durable, he's only been knocked out once, and he's got that I only need 1 power. If Yu decides to keep his chin sky high and his hands by his kneecaps, Jekka might send him on a guided tour of dreamland. So, who wins? If this were a leg kick contest or a hair gel commercial, I'd give it to Jekka. But this is MMA, and Ju Sang-yu just does more things better, cleaner, and faster. His striking is tight, his movement is slick, and his defense, while flashy, usually works. He's likely going to rack up points with clean jabs, some fast kicks, maybe sneak in a takedown or two just to secure the rounds. That being said, this fight has banana peel vibes. One wrong step, one missed read, one, oh no, I left my chin right here. And Jekka's throwing a 4-ounce knuckle sandwich directly into Yu's soul. Official pick, Ju Sang Yu via decision. He's faster, cleaner, and should be able to manage the chaos, but don't blink. Jekka's the kind of guy who turns round 2 into a crime scene without warning. And for the love of all things sacred, keep that chin tucked, Ju, because if Jekka finds it, brother, that's going to be a deadly kick to your night. Let's get violent, people. Next up, we've got a matchup that promises fireworks. Ariane, Queen of Violence, Lipski da Silva versus Kong the Joker Wang. 2 all-action fighters with chaos in their DNA, stepping in to settle it the only way they know how. I'm excited for this one, so let's dive right in. And stepping into the octagon first is the reigning Muay Thai menace, Ariane, Queen of Violence, Lipski da Silva, who rolls in as a plus 295 underdog with a 17-10 record. Now, you don't earn a nickname like Queen of Violence by playing patty cake. This woman throws hands like she's trying to repossess your soul. Her striking, clean, mean, and aggressive. She's not a headhunter, she's body, head, leg, kick, you name it. She doesn't just throw combos, she delivers them like Amazon Prime. But here's the thing, the Queen has a kryptonite and it's spelled W-R-E-S-T-L-I-N-G. This woman is allergic to being pressed against the cage. Her body reacts the way most people react to surprise taxes. Grappling exchanges for her look like a scene from The Revenant, except instead of a bear, it's just Jasmine Jasudavicius laying on top of her for 5 minutes at a time. And listen, she can submit people, she's got 4 subs, but the grappling usually only happens when she's fighting another striker. Against anyone with a takedown game and a functioning spinal cord, she's had issues. Karine Silva turned her into a yoga mat. Montana De La Rosa took her on a 6-minute field trip to the canvas. Her win condition is simple. Keep it standing and turn the cage into a Muay Thai clinic. Anything else and it starts to look like open mat at your local BJJ gym. Now entering from the opposite corner is Kong the Joker Wang, a minus 360 favorite with a clean 7-1 record and a striking game that's all business. If Lipski is chaos, Wang is precision. Her punches are so accurate she could thread a needle with a jab. She's fast, she's got solid pop, and she's coming off a strong performance against Bruna Brazil, who, for reasons known only to the MMA gods, decided to stand and bang instead of wrestle the known striker. Great strategy, Bruna. Really galaxy brain stuff there. Kong Wang has that real-deal kickboxing pedigree. Her footwork's smooth, her strikes are clean, and her cardio, she could throw combos in round 3 like she's still warming up. She's got 2 knockouts and 2 submissions, so don't let the number fool you. She's not just here for a points win, she wants to take your head off and hang it like a championship belt. But she's not invincible. She got clipped by Gabriela Fernandez in a fight where she got a little too comfortable playing the hands-down game, you know, that come at me bro style of defense that works great until it doesn't, and you wake up asking what year it is. She hasn't been tested by a real grappler yet, and that's the big mystery. Can she stop a takedown when someone actually tries? So, who wins? We got 2 skilled strikers. One is technical and slick, the other is violent and aggressive. Now I've spoken about Ariane being controlled by grapplers, and I think it's her turn to drop that reverse Uno card. If she just mixes in some grappling, just threatens it, it can change the whole fight. Wang's likely to win the cleaner striking exchanges over time if Da Silva makes it a pure kickboxing match. But if Da Silva remembers, she's got a purple belt in BJJ and starts clinching, dragging this to the ground, or even just roughing Wang up against the cage. Now we've got ourselves a chess match instead of a highlight reel. Official pick, Ariane Lipski da Silva via decision or sneaky sub. Yeah, I said it. Call it a spicy dog pick, call it MMA delusion, but I'm siding with the Queen of Violence. If she shows up with an MMA game plan and not just a standing war manifesto. Because listen, if Bruna Brazil's brain freeze taught us anything, it's that kickboxing someone who's better at kickboxing than you is not the move. Let's hope da Silva doesn't repeat the same mistake and makes this an MMA fight and not a kickboxing match. Strap in and keep your hands up, folks, because this one's got all the ingredients of a bar fight that accidentally ended up on ESPN. We're talking Chaos, the Ox Fighter Williams versus Andreas Bane Gustafsson, a matchup so violent Dana White probably booked it while shadowboxing in a Monster Energy trance. Let's dig in. Let's start with the man who sounds like he was named by a 14-year-old Call of Duty player, Chaos Williams, the minus 165 favorite with a 15-4 record. Chaos is the kind of guy who punches like he's trying to close a garage door, with authority and with absolutely zero patience. Now, technically, he's a BJJ blue belt, which means he knows just enough jiu-jitsu to recognize when someone else is choking him, but we're not here for his grappling. His striking is the real main event. The man's got fast hands, big power, and a killer instinct that flares up anytime someone dares to move within punching range. He's got 7 knockouts, 2 subs, and a highlight reel that includes more sleeping bodies than a red-eye flight. His clinch work is strong, and he's an excellent counter-striker, like, I don't throw first, I throw last type of guy. But here's the Chaos paradox. For all that violence in his hands, he can be weirdly chill in the cage, like he's waiting for the perfect moment that never quite arrives. When he wins, it's explosive. When he loses, it's usually because he waited too long to do something nuclear. Still, the man's got durability like a Nokia phone. Pereira couldn't drop him. Randy Brown had to tiptoe through 2 rounds just to outpoint him. And Bonfim? Okay, yeah, that one was tough, but Bonfim's a monster, so we're not holding that one against him. It's like getting jumped by Batman. You don't feel bad, you just wake up and accept it. Now let's talk about the Swedish sledgehammer himself, Andreas Bane Gustafsson, a plus 145 dog with a record of 11-2 and the fighting style of a Jack Russell Terrier with a grudge. This guy doesn't care about your fancy footwork or your cage control. He's a walk you down and throw grenades type of fighter. You know that scene in every action movie where the bad guy yells and charges with a weapon? That's Gustafsson's approach to MMA. 7 of his 11 wins are finishes, and he throws with violent intent every time. You'll never see him paw a jab or set up a feint. No. Bane's idea of a setup is, I punch you now, then I punch you again, harder. But let's not act like this man is slipping jabs and cutting angles. His defense is basically, let's trade and see who regrets it first. He fights like a guy who's never been KO'd and is daring the universe to prove him wrong. He hasn't faced top-tier competition, but he shows up like he's got nothing to lose and a Viking ancestor whispering swing harder in his ear. So who wins? This fight is going to be pure violence with a side of, please blink, I dare you. Both men can crack, both are durable, and neither believes in backwards movement. Gustafsson's going to try to crowd chaos, overwhelm him, and turn this into a fight judged by cavemen standards, who hit harder, who fell first, and who screamed loudest. But here's the thing. Chaos is more experienced at this level. He's fought the tougher guys, he's been through the fire, and he's learned how to survive the chaos, pun very much intended. If he lets his hands go, his speed and accuracy might be the difference. Gustafsson's aggression is real, but aggression without defense in front of someone like Chaos? That's how you end up sleeping on a canvas, wondering why Joe Rogan is crying over your unconscious body. Official pick, Chaos Williams by KO. I think Gustafsson's chin gets tested like a high school final, and unfortunately, I don't think he passes. Chaos might be patient to a fault sometimes, but when he finally decides to throw down, the lights go out. And not just for his opponent, but probably the whole building. Expect wild exchanges, heavy leather, and someone's highlight reel getting an update. It's time for a heavyweight clash that might just test the structural integrity of the octagon. And if you're the UFC's canvas guy, you better bring extra Velcro because these two are about to put a crater in that mat. We've got Sergey Polar Bear Spivak taking on Waldo Salsa Boy Cortez Acosta, a nickname that feels like a fever dream and a salsa commercial all at once. Let's dive in. Let's start with the polar bear himself, Sergey Spivak, the minus 130 favorite rocking a record of 17-5 in a style that screams, please stop standing and come wrestle me. This man is a grappling specialist in a division full of men who think sprawl and brawl is an entire game plan. Spivak doesn't want to strike. He wants to hug you, lift you up like a toddler, and then plant you into the earth like he's sowing potatoes. He's got a 65% takedown accuracy, which is high for a heavyweight and downright ridiculous when you consider most heavyweights have the cardio of a malfunctioning Roomba. Once he's on top, it's ground and pound from Moldova with love. 8 submissions, a bunch of TKOs via mauling, and a top game that's heavier than your cousin's failed pyramid scheme. And his control is no joke either. He's like a weighted blanket that wants to arm triangle you. Now let's be honest, Spivak's striking, it's improved, sure, but it's still very much, please don't punch me while I shoot for a takedown. His stand-up is mostly there to distract you while he changes levels. And he's been knocked out 4 times, which is never a good sign, especially in a division where getting hit is part of the handshake. But credit where it's due, his takedown defense is decent, and he does work to get back up when he's on the bottom. He's not just lying there hoping Bruce Buffer calls it early. Now let's salsa on over to Waldo Salsa Boy Cortez Acosta, who is coming in hot like a Cuban sandwich out the oven. He's a plus 130 dog with a 13-1 record and some of the fastest hands in the heavyweight division. That's not an exaggeration. This guy throws like he's late for a wedding toast. Waldo's boxing is crisp. His combos come quick. He mixes it up to the head and body, and while he doesn't hit like Ngannou, he hits with enough speed and snap to cause problems. He's like the guy who doesn't knock you out clean, but suddenly you're sitting on a stool wondering how your kids got to cage side. He's riding a 4-fight win streak, and his last fight absolutely melted Ryan Spann. And yeah, I know Spann usually fights at light heavyweight, but still, Waldo put hands on him like he owed him rent. But here's the thing. His wrestling defense is still a mystery wrapped in bravado. Sure, he stuffed a few attempts in the UFC, but he hasn't had a full-on grappling exam yet. And when Marcos Rogerio de Lima did go full double-leg mode, Waldo got planted and controlled for a while. Yes, he had a banged-up leg, but his get-up game looked more like a let me just hang out here for a bit game. So who wins? We've got a classic striker versus grappler chess match, only this is heavyweight chess. So instead of pawns, we have refrigerators throwing hooks and suplexes. If Waldo keeps it standing, his hands are going to be a nightmare for Spivak. He's faster, smoother, and has the cleaner technique by a mile. But Spivak has the third most takedowns in UFC heavyweight history, and the best takedown accuracy ever in the division. That's like being the only guy in a pie-eating contest who brought a fork. He doesn't need to strike better than Waldo, he just needs to get him down once, or twice, or 9 times. And the moment he does, Waldo is suddenly Salsa Boy in quicksand. Official pick, Sergey Spivak by submission. I think Spivak weathers the early storm, grabs a leg, and drags Salsa Boy into the depths of grappling despair. He's too experienced, too heavy on top, and too good at sticking to his strengths. Waldo's hands are fast, but Spivak is going to test those hips like a chiropractor at a powerlifting meet. Expect Salsa Boy to look great early, and then look up at the lights wondering where all the air went. All right, up next we've got a matchup that feels like a trap boss battle in an RPG. You walk in thinking it's just another fight, but the next thing you know, you're flatlined by a left hand you didn't even see. It's Azamat, the professional Mirzakhanov, versus Brenson, the Gorilla Ribeiro. And no, not that gorilla, the Brazilian one with knockout power and questionable fight IQ. Let's dig in. Let's kick it off with Azamat Mirzakhanov, who's walking into this as a minus 590 favorite, which is Vegas's polite way of saying, don't bet on the other guy unless you like living dangerously or hate your own money. He's 14-0, undefeated, and a master of sports in Army hand-to-hand combat, which sounds like the kind of martial art you learn when you want to beat someone up politely while wearing camouflage. Now look, Azamat's resume might not be full of world beaters, but the man is dangerous. The power in his left hand is like a guided missile. And when he lands, it's not just damage, it's a Shakespearean tragedy. 10 knockouts, most of them violent, and that's just the appetizer. Once he drops you, the ground and pound looks like he's mad at the mat for catching you. His striking is compact, clean, and efficient. No wasted motion, no crazy spinning stuff. He's like a sniper with a beer belly. Just sets traps, avoids counters, and waits for you to give him a chin to test. That left cross and overhand, it's like the light switch for your consciousness. And he will dig to the body as well. Ask Devin Clark's body. It met the liver shot that made it rethink its contract with the rest of his organs. He's also got a solid chin, by the way. Took a head kick from Devin and walked it off like he was adjusting his thermostat. The real question with Azamat is, what happens if someone drags him into deep waters on the mat? That hasn't really happened yet. He's looked great, but he's mostly faced dudes who strike, stand there, or go down quicker than a fight card with Chris Daukaus on it. Now on to Brenson, the Gorilla Ribeiro, and I gotta say, he's one of the most confusing fighters in the UFC. At plus 420, Vegas sees him as a long shot. But let's be clear, this guy is dangerous when he feels like it. Ribeiro is 17-7 with 9 knockouts and 7 submissions, so yeah, he's well-rounded. Like a pizza cutter that sometimes forgets it's supposed to cut. One fight he's out here flipping positions with Kimuras and dropping bombs, and the next he's staring at the ceiling, wondering how Magomed got him down again. Consistency is not his thing. His fight style is basically choose your own adventure, but every page leads to either violence or a nap. He's aggressive. He throws heat and he can take your head off if he catches you clean. But his defense is like a brick wall with one of those cartoon holes in it. You just walk right through it. He's been knocked out 3 times, submitted twice, and when he fights someone who can wrestle, he turns into an open mat for drills. He hasn't stuffed a single takedown in the UFC, which makes me wonder if he even knows that's allowed. He's got the skills, but his fight IQ is somewhere between bar fight and YouTube prank gone wrong. He'll trade when he shouldn't, chase finishes when he should recover, and sometimes completely forgets that grappling was an option. So who wins? If you told me Brenson came in here and pulled off a slick sub or landed a wild haymaker KO, I wouldn't be shocked. The guy's got tools. He's like a toolbox from IKEA, full of potential, but you just don't trust it to hold anything heavy. Azamat, on the other hand, is calm, measured, and fights like a man who gets paid by the clean knockout. He's hard to hit, even harder to finish, and if you leave your chin out like Brenson tends to, Azamat's gonna test it like it's got a warranty. The biggest issue here, Brenson does leave that chin up, a lot, like it's trying to catch snowflakes, and when Azamat finds it, that's not a flurry, it's a full-on blizzard. Official pick, Azamat Mirzakhanov by KO. I wanted to pick Brenson too, I really did. I love chaos. But until he starts defending takedowns or protecting his chin like it's worth something, I just can't. Azamat's too sharp, too disciplined, and too experienced not to take advantage. I think the left hand finds a home early, and Brenson finds himself asking if Herb Dean always looked that blurry. Let's get weird, folks, because next up we've got a flyweight fist fight that's gonna move so fast your TV might buffer just trying to keep up. It's Bruno Bulldog Silva, the Brazilian buzzsaw, taking on Joshua the Fearless Van, who fights like he's trying to get signed by Marvel and Dana White at the same time. Let's dig in. First up, Bruno Silva, coming in as a plus 390 underdog with a record of 14-6. That's right, plus 390. Vegas said, "Bruno, we respect your effort, but we don't believe in you like that." But hold on. This man's nickname is Bulldog, which is both a compliment and an accurate assessment of his fighting style. Just picture a pit bull who took a jiu-jitsu seminar one time and then decided spinning elbows were a lifestyle. Bruno's a black belt in BJJ, but you wouldn't know it from recent performances because man's been out here throwing hands like he forgot the floor exists. He's got 6 knockouts, 4 subs, and a spinning back fist that comes out of nowhere like your boss at 4:59 p.m. on a Friday. He's got some decent power, a solid chin, and the type of cardio that makes you question your training camp halfway through round 2. Now, yes, he hasn't been scoring takedowns lately, but maybe he just realized punching people in the face is way more fun. His last loss came to Manel Kape, who is basically a landmine in human form, so no shame there. Bruno's the kind of guy who's dangerous everywhere, but doesn't really dominate anywhere. Think of him as the MMA version of a Swiss Army knife, has all the tools, but sometimes it's just not the one you need in the moment. Still, if he can land big and maybe sneak in a wild grappling transition, that underdog line starts to look juicy. Now let's talk about Joshua the Fearless Van, a minus 530 favorite. That's not a betting line, that's Vegas just giving you a spoiler alert. This dude is 13-2 and looks like he's sprinting through the flyweight division on speedrun mode. Fast, powerful, clean boxing, slick defense, good grappling. He's like if someone made a UFC creative fighter and gave him extra stats for fun. His striking is chef's kiss, super technical, always switching targets, checks leg kicks, and throws combinations like he's playing Street Fighter and found a cheat code. He's not just offensively sharp, he's defensively sound too. You try to hit him, he slips and returns fire like it's his full-time job, which it is. But what impressed me the most was that last fight against Ray Tsuruya, who's basically a grappling goblin. Tsuruya attempted 21 takedowns. 21. And Van was like, nah, I'm good. Stuffed most of them, popped right back up like a whack-a-mole with a black belt. Van's pace is relentless. He starts a little slow sometimes, then turns into a flyweight Terminator. He doesn't slow down, and you can't make him stop unless you catch him with something huge. But good luck landing that because he's got the reflexes of a cat on espresso. So, who wins? Let's not get it twisted. Bruno Silva is dangerous. He's got the kind of power that can shift a fight in a blink, and he's gritty as hell. You don't survive Manel Kape and finish 4 guys before that by being a pushover. If he catches Van clean, this could get very interesting, very fast, and if he can actually get some takedowns going, maybe we finally see Van forced to grapple in the deep end. But the issue? Van is like that kid in class who does the group project and corrects the teacher's math. The dude is sharp, aggressive, and clearly leveling up with every fight. I expect Van to stuff Bruno's takedown attempts, light him up on the feet, and keep pushing a pace that Bruno just can't quite keep up with. Bruno might land something flashy, but Van's just too slick, too smart, and way too fearless. Official pick, Joshua Van by unanimous decision. It'll be a fun scrap. Bruno's tough and might land some heat early, but Van is the cleaner technician, the better athlete, and the guy with the momentum of a hype train that's already left the station. Expect volume, speed, and at least one sequence where Van lands 5 strikes before Bruno finishes his blink. If Bruno wins, I'll eat my words, with a spinning back fist. Let's keep it rolling with one of those classic grappler versus striker matchups, aka the MMA version of rock versus paper mache. We've got Markel Medeiros, the sharpshooting technician who kicks legs like he's mad at trees, going up against Mark the Shark Choinski, who wants to drown you in the shallowest puddle of offense you give him. Buckle up, we're diving into this one. First up, Markel Medeiros coming in as a -240 favorite with a record of 10-1. This man has hands so clean you'd think he sanitized between combos. Crisp, technical striking, smooth footwork, and the type of leg kicks that make orthopedic surgeons start rubbing their hands together like cartoon villains. Markel fights like a guy who downloaded the textbook on Muay Thai, but filtered it through a cool guy lens. He doesn't brawl, he surgically disassembles your lower half until you start thinking sitting down forever might be the move. He's got 6 knockouts, which tells you he's not just flicking out jabs and shadowboxing at range, he's landing with intent. Now, defensively on the ground, he's looked solid. Good scrambles, decent takedown defense, and the kind of spatial awareness that makes him hard to pin down. The only question mark here is, what happens if a legit grappler really turns up the heat? So far, his takedown defense has mostly been like that door in horror movies that seems locked until it isn't. He hasn't faced a high-level wrestler yet, but until proven otherwise, the guy's passing the test with that calm, calculated, do-not-panic energy. Medeiros looks like he's running a chess match in a cage full of Go Fish players. On the other side, we've got Mark the Shark Choinski, swimming in at +205 with a record of 8-0. Yes, he's undefeated. Yes, he's a wrestler. And yes, his nickname is The Shark, which is objectively a top-tier combat sports nickname, even though we all know most MMA sharks just want to take you down and nap on your chest. Mark has 5 submissions, 1 KO, and 1 clear goal: drag you underwater and keep you there until the judge, the ref, or gravity gets involved. He's not out here point fighting or trying to look pretty. His striking, let's just say it's enthusiastic. He throws elbows and knees like he just learned them in the warm-up and can't wait to try them live. His whole thing is pressure. He's aggressive and pushes forward. His striking isn't bad, and although I don't think he has huge knockout power, he can crack. In this fight, I think he should clinch up, drag Medeiros to the mat, and start doing low-budget jiu-jitsu horror movie things. His shots are aggressive, his pace is strong, and if he gets top position, he knows what to do with it. But here's the kicker. This is a big jump in competition. He's been tapping out guys who showed up with the grappling defense of a beach towel. Medeiros, he's not going to give up position for free. Mark might find out that swimming in the deep end gets real scary when your opponent can strike and sprawl. So, who wins? Let's not play coy. If Mark gets on top early and starts working his submission game, this could get dicey real fast for Medeiros. You can only hip escape so many times before your corner starts Googling yoga classes for you. And Medeiros hasn't exactly had to deal with someone going full backpack mode on him yet, but that's a big if. Because if Choinski can't get this to the ground, he's stuck in there with a guy who throws clean combos, rips leg kicks like they owe him money, and moves around like he's got Bluetooth earbuds and zero interest in standing still. Medeiros has the better striking, the better movement, and the kind of discipline that makes aggressive wrestlers frustrated and desperate. That's when mistakes happen, and you do not want to be making mistakes against a guy with Markel's precision. Official pick, Markel Medeiros by decision. I think he stuffs enough takedowns, keeps it standing, and turns Mark's Shark Tank into a striking showcase. But I'll be honest, this is a low-confidence pick. Because if Choinski gets those takedowns going early, Medeiros might spend 15 minutes writing his name in blood on the bottom of the canvas while Mark does submission math on his back. Still, I'm backing the cleaner technique and big show experience. Just don't be surprised if this turns into a cardio war that ends with someone fishing for a Hail Mary guillotine at the buzzer. Ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn, your prayer beads, and maybe a tarot deck, because up next we have a certified chaos matchup. It's Vicente, the silent assassin, Luke versus Kevin Trailblazer Holland, and if you're betting money on this one, I salute your bravery and recommend emotional support animals. Both of these dudes are wild, talented, inconsistent, and allergic to boring fights. Let's break it down. First up, Vicente, the silent assassin Luke, coming in as a +180 dog with a record of 23-10. Vicente is the kind of guy who walks into a burning building with a smile, a guillotine grip, and a calm voice saying, "I'm just here to strangle people." This man is a black belt in both BJJ and Luda Livre, which basically means if there's a way to twist your neck into a balloon animal, he's got it in the toolkit. He's got 11 knockouts, 9 submissions, and one of the nastiest darts chokes in the UFC. He's hit that thing more times than most people hit the snooze button. If you give up your neck against this guy, just start tapping early to save yourself the embarrassment. Striking-wise, Vicente's sharp, technical, and has real power. He throws crisp combos, mixes up kicks, and will absolutely trade shots if you invite him to the Chaos Cookout. The issue, sometimes he just fades, like your favorite t-shirt after too many washes. There are fights where he's looked checked out, like someone unplugged his controller mid-round. But if he's on, this dude's a problem everywhere. Oh, and his chin, battle-tested. The guy's taken some bombs and kept walking forward like he's got a dentist appointment and zero fear of swelling. Next up, Kevin Trailblazer Holland, strolling in at minus 220 with a record of 27-13. Kevin Holland is like if you gave a kung fu movie protagonist ADHD, a mic, and a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He is a second-degree kung fu black belt, a legit BJJ black belt, and he fights like he's sparring in the middle of an improv class. Talking trash, cracking jokes mid-fight, giving live commentary. He's basically his own post-fight interview during the fight. When he's locked in, though, dangerous. He's got 13 knockouts, 9 submissions, and the kind of long reach that makes his jab feel like a whip. His teep kicks, straight punches, and ability to fight at range make him a tricky puzzle to solve. He looked sharp in that win over Gunnar Nelson, clean, focused, and efficient. You could tell he wasn't trying to fight a leprechaun in the corner like usual. But then there's the other Holland. The one who gives up takedowns for fun, fights like he's playing UFC 5 with no stamina bar, and sometimes just forgets he's trying to win. One minute he's piecing you up, the next he's chatting with Bruce Buffer mid-round. Still, he's got a good chin, he's not afraid to scrap, and when he's on, he's one of the slickest weirdos in the game. So, who wins? Let's be honest, this fight could go literally anywhere. They both have great cardio, they both can strike, they both can grapple, and they both have days where they show up looking like killers, and others where they show up looking like they forgot what weight class they're in. If Kevin keeps this fight long, uses his reach, avoids the clinch, and doesn't get pulled into a brawl or a submission exchange, he can win this fight clean. He's the better rangy striker and a bit more dynamic when he's not being Kevin Holland wild mode trademark. But Luke is dangerous in every exchange. He's not as flashy, but he's smart. If Kevin gets lazy on a takedown or tries to roll into something slick, that Darce choke is coming faster than your Amazon package when you pay for Prime. Vicente has the power to clip Holland, the ground game to submit him, and the quiet killer vibe that could sneak up on Trailblazer if he's playing too much. Official pick, Vicente Luke by decision, or maybe submission. Look, this is a low confidence pick. I say that with love and fear. But if Luke shows up sharp, I think he's just a bit more reliable in the chaos. Kevin's a highlight machine, but Luke's that type of guy who turns a mistake into a fight-ending sequence before you can blink. And Kevin makes mistakes. This is either going to be a banger or a weird mess. Either way, let the weirdness begin. Oh baby, it's time for jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu, but with taxes. Because these boys aren't just rolling on mats, they're rolling with purpose. We got Mario Bautista versus Patchy Mix, and this is the kind of fight that makes you double-check your parlay and ask yourself, do I really know what MMA is? Let's dig in before we start doubting all of Bellator's LinkedIn endorsements. First up, Mario Bautista, coming in as a plus 135 underdog with a record of 15-2. Mario is one of those sneaky, underrated killers in the bantamweight division. Like if someone installed a BJJ black belt inside a Tesla, he's clean, efficient, and quietly terrifying if you give him an inch. He's riding a 7-fight win streak, and not the kind where you're scraping by split decisions and DMing judges afterward. Except for the Jose Aldo fight, but we will leave that alone and revisit in a rant video. But he's finishing people, grabbing necks like a debt collector, and pushing a pace that makes even cardio machines sweat. He's got 6 subs, 3 knockouts. His striking, fast, technical, and underrated. He's not out there throwing spinning wheel kicks like a caffeine-drunk Edson Barboza, but he keeps it tight, lands clean, and mixes in really solid kicks. His takedown defense is like a well-trained bouncer. Nope, not tonight. And when it does hit the mat, good luck scrambling with this dude. He's one of the few bantamweights who will not only win the scramble, he'll tie your limbs into a balloon animal while giving you flashbacks to high school wrestling trauma. Also, let's talk about that fight IQ. Mario knows how to win rounds. He's not out here showboating or staring at the clock. He's grinding, he's moving, and he's scoring. This man does not make dumb mistakes. He's like if Fight Pass had a cheat code for fundamentally sound. Next up, Patchy No Love Mix, swaggering in at minus 170 with a record of 20-1. All right, look, it's time to talk about Patchy Bellator's Last Hope Mix. This guy was the Bellator bantamweight champ, one of the top guys not in the UFC until he was. Now he's here carrying the Bellator banner like Frodo with the ring, hoping not to get melted by the lava of UFC competition. Patchy has 13 submissions and 0 chill. The guy is a ground demon. He finds your back faster than a scam text finds your phone number. His BJJ is slick, creative, and absolutely smothering. Once he's on top, you're not escaping. You're entering a new dimension. He's tall, rangy for the division, and can use that length to float in scrambles like a spooky jiu-jitsu ghost. That being said, his striking? It's fine, it's not bad. But it's also not going to win him a kickboxing match with someone like Bautista. His output is low and his power is more nagging than nuclear, like a guy tapping your shoulder at a bar until you turn around and get rear naked choked. And yes, we gotta mention it. Bellator champs in the UFC lately? Not great, Bob. Pitbull got yared into another galaxy, and Michael Chandler's UFC highlight reel is just him yelling while getting punched in the face. Patchy Mix is here to break the curse, or add a paragraph to the obituary. And let's be honest, that fight with Magomed, he squeaked by on a split decision, and a lot of people, including my aunt with zero MMA knowledge, thought he lost. That's not the kind of performance that makes you feel bulletproof heading into a debut against a guy like Bautista. So who wins? This is a wild one. Both guys are black belts. Both guys are excellent scramblers. Both guys will absolutely not be wearing shoes during the fight, and both know how to find your neck like it owes them money. If Patchy gets Mario down and controls the back, could be curtains. His back control is suffocating, but Mario's not just another dude from the regional scene. He's a legit UFC-level athlete who knows how to stay safe, win rounds, and avoid dumb mistakes. On the feet, Mario's cleaner. He's got the faster hands, the better kicks, and he actually throws volume. Unlike Patchy, who sometimes looks like he's shadowboxing underwater, Patchy's path is clear. Get it to the ground, get the back, find the choke. Mario's path, win the striking, defend the takedowns, scramble like hell if needed, and outwork him. Official pick, Mario Bautista by decision. I'm not sold on the Bellator to UFC transition yet. Patchy's good, no doubt, but this is a big jump. Mario's faced legit guys and handled them. He's got the striking edge, the cardio, and he's just scrappy enough to survive the grappling chaos. Could Patchy catch him? Sure. Could Mario stuff the takedowns and box his face off? Absolutely. In the end, give me the UFC-tested dude with a high fight IQ, better hands, and just enough jiu-jitsu not to get folded like a lawn chair. Let the neck hunting begin. Oh boy, it's about to get spicy in the middleweight kitchen. We got Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Bodybags Pyfer. And this one feels like it was booked after someone at the UFC typed violence versus durability into ChatGPT. This is either going to be a coming out party for Joe Pyfer or a you forgot who I am statement from Kelvin, or both, or neither. But probably someone's going to bleed. Let's unpack this like Dana opening his wallet for the Saudis. First up, Kelvin Gastelum coming in a plus 310 underdog with a record of 19-9. Now Kelvin Gastelum is the living embodiment of the phrase, been through it. This man fought prime Israel Adesanya in one of the greatest middleweight wars of all time, and then spent the next few years getting tossed around the rankings like a hot potato with CTE. Kelvin is a vet's vet. He's got hands, he's got wrestling, he's got a granite chin, and he still walks to the cage like he just got done coaching a high school wrestling meet. The guy has never been knocked out, which is insane considering the middleweight division is like Shark Tank with head kicks. He's got 5 KOs, 5 subs, and about 11 lives because he's been in more firefights than a Marvel movie. His boxing is crisp, especially the jab-cross combo, and his hand speed is still good even if his reaction time sometimes looks like he's running on Windows 95. He went down to welterweight for a bit, which is like putting a grizzly bear on keto. It just didn't feel right. But now he's back at middleweight where he's slightly undersized but also not dying from the weight cut, so that's a win. The problem is, Kelvin lately has looked like a guy who's a step behind. Not washed, but rinse cycle's definitely spinning. Now onto Joe Bodybags Pyfer, coming in a minus 395 favorite with a record of 13-3. If Joe Pyfer were a Marvel character, he'd be the finisher. He throws everything like it personally offended his ancestors. We're talking 9 knockouts, and not the pitter-patter kind, the your consciousness owes rent kind. Joe is not just a banger though. Dude has strong grappling, which you wouldn't expect from someone who looks like he only discovered books last week. Since joining the UFC, Pyfer has been quietly stacking wins, including 3 grappling matches outside the octagon because apparently fighting professionally isn't stressful enough. Now, let's talk cardio. His one UFC loss, Jack Hermanson, who basically turned into a Norwegian mattress and smothered Joe until his gas tank cried uncle. Joe looked good early, then turned into a confused Roomba by round 3. But overall, he's got the tools, power, aggression, and just enough grappling to turn you into a submission demo video if you don't take him seriously. So who wins? This fight is like a zombie movie with budget. Joe Pyfer is here to unload everything he has, and Kelvin Gastelum is here to say, "Cool story, bro," while absorbing it like it's a suntan. If Pyfer gasses, and Gastelum doesn't die of blunt force trauma in the first 10 minutes, things could get very interesting. Kelvin is the kind of guy who can eat a buffet of uppercuts and still fire back like it's round 1. He's also got the veteran savvy to clinch, dirty box, maybe even mix in a takedown or two if he really wants to confuse Joe and the judges. But, and it's a big but like heavyweight Derek Lewis energy, Pyfer is bigger, stronger, hits harder, and has more upside. He's not just trying to win. He's trying to make a statement like he's applying for a top 10 badge on Topology. Gastelum, he could survive. He could even grind out a win, but that path is narrow, like Kelvin's chances of ever making 170 again. Official pick, Joe Pyfer by unanimous decision. This is going to be fun, but I think Joe just overwhelms him early, lands the cleaner shots, maybe even mixes in some grappling just to show off that new multi-sport resume. Kelvin stays in there because of course he does, but he's on the back foot the whole time. I don't see Pyfer finishing Kelvin unless he finds the perfect nuke, but I do see Pyfer landing the harder shots, controlling the tempo, and maybe stealing some ooze from the crowd on his way to a solid W. Kelvin's too tough to die. Pyfer's too powerful to lose this moment. We've arrived at the co-main event, and I hope you're emotionally prepared because we've got a title on the line and an actual Olympian versus a woman who makes every fight feel like a Rocky montage. It's Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison for the bantamweight title, which is wild in itself because it means Kayla made 135 without losing a limb, and Juliana somehow convinced the universe that she's still the champion. Let's talk about it. First up, Juliana the Venezuelan Vixen Pena, who comes in a plus 455 underdog with a record of 11-5 record, and the kind of confidence you only get from surviving 2 Amanda Nunes fights. Pena is a purple belt in BJJ, but don't let that belt color fool you. This woman grapples like her belt is made out of vengeance. She's the only fighter I've seen eat clean power shots from Nunes, smile through it, and just walk forward like Amanda forgot to pay child support. She's got 4 submissions, 3 knockouts, and a gas tank that runs on spite. Her striking? Not elite, but serviceable. She's aggressive, throws volume, and she'll happily eat a few to land one, as if her chin is sponsored by NyQuil. And say what you want about her record, but Juliana Pena does not quit, ever. She could be in a rear naked choke from God himself and she'd still be hand fighting and calling it fine. She's the kind of fighter who gets stronger the more you hit her, which is terrifying if you're Kayla Harrison. Also, she's already had her Rocky moment against Nunes, beat her once, lost the rematch, and somehow still walked away like she won the trilogy. Now stepping in, Kayla Harrison, who comes in a minus 625 favorite with a record of 18-1, Olympic judo gold medalist, and living proof that PFL has the matchmaking subtlety of a sugar daddy. Kayla is built like she was forged in an Olympic lab. Her judo is elite. Her trips and throws look like she's glitching the Matrix. And when she gets on top, you'd better hope your will is updated. 7 submissions, 6 ground and pound TKOs, and enough elbows to make Muay Thai fighters take notes. She is a physical monster with that rare blend of grappling skill, top pressure, and I've trained with men bigger than you intensity. When she gets on top, she doesn't just look for control, she goes full DMV agent, no smiling, no mercy, and always ready to ruin your day. And this is a UFC size, but her striking is oof. She throws like every shot is the finale of an action movie. No setups, no feints, just raw, flailing ambition. Her stand-up looks like she learned how to box from watching Street Fighter 2 cutscenes. Her inside leg kick is decent, but the rest is just cardio with bad intentions. And her resume, let's be honest, it's not a who's who, it's a who. She's been fed more softballs than a little league pitcher with no shoulder. And while that doesn't mean she's not great, it does mean she's finally about to face someone who doesn't panic when she gets thrown. She's been matched up with strikers that have 0 grappling. I feel like they have been padding her record. So who wins? On paper, this is the unstoppable takedown machine versus the indestructible street brawler with a purple belt and unshakable self-belief. If Kayla gets on top early, Pena's gonna be in full survival mode. We're talking elbows, positional hell, and possibly that weird stare Kayla does that makes you question your life choices. But if Pina can keep it standing for even 2 rounds, it might start looking like a late-night cardio class where only one woman remembered to stretch. Pina's jab is cleaner, her pressure is relentless, and Kayla has never been in deep waters with a fighter who can scramble, survive, and still try to take your neck off while losing. If Juliana can make this ugly and drag Kayla into rounds 3, 4, or 5, we're gonna find out just how Olympic that cardio really is. Official pick, Juliana Pena by split decision, yep. I'm taking the plus money madness. I think Pena survives early, frustrates Kayla with her pressure, and starts touching her up late. She might get taken down, sure, but I don't think she gets dominated. And in a close fight, she's gonna be the one pushing forward, landing more volume, and yelling like she just won the Ultimate Fighter again. It's chaos, it's guts, it's the Venezuelan vixen. Let's go full Rocky 3 in here. All right, it's main event time, and we've got ourselves a classic battle of styles, vibes, and cardio-based anxiety. It's Merab the Machine Dvalishvili versus Sean Sugar O'Malley for the bantamweight title. And folks, this is not just a fight, this is a 5-round sprint versus a 5-round trap beat. A tireless grappling robot against the human highlight reel who looks like he spawned from Twitch chat and a pack of Skittles. Let's talk about it. First up, Merab the Machine Dvalishvili, who comes in a minus 325 favorite, with a 19-4 record, and the cardio of a hummingbird who drinks espresso through a fire hose. Merab is the kind of fighter who makes you wonder if he's got a second pair of lungs stored in his thigh or something. Dude averages like 9.5 takedowns per fight and doesn't even blink. He'll shoot a takedown, get stuffed, shoot another one, and then keep shooting until your soul leaves your body. He's not a power puncher, not a submission artist, and his idea of rest is just switching from single legs to doubles. The man is like a washing machine that only has one setting. Relentless spin cycle. You don't beat Merab, you just try to survive long enough to not get your bones wrestled into soup. His striking, it's functional chaos. He's bouncing in and out, flailing kicks, awkward punches, and somehow all of it works because you're too busy trying to keep your lungs from escaping your chest cavity. He doesn't give you time to think. You start having an idea, take down, you blink wrong, take down. You finish your internal monologue, boom, you're horizontal again. And let's not forget, he's riding a 12-fight win streak that includes breaking Peter Yan's will, dragging Jose Aldo into a panic sweat, and making actual contenders look like they forgot to install updates. Now stepping in, Sean Sugar O'Malley, the plus 260 underdog with an 18-2 record, and the only UFC former champ who might also sell you vape pens and NFTs. Sean O'Malley is a sniper with rainbow sprinkles. He's got legit one-shot power, incredible accuracy, and the kind of footwork that makes him look like he's figure skating on Red Bull. When he's on, he's poetry in motion, and that poetry is usually titled, "Down Goes His Opponent." He's not just flashy, he's calculated. He sets traps, uses feints, and can land from anywhere like he's got a joystick controller hidden in his cornrows. He has good timing, solid takedown defense when fresh, and he knows how to control distance like he's setting up an invisible fence. But, and this is a Bigfoot-sized but, his last fight was rough. Like, you forget to do your homework and now you're presenting in front of the class rough. He didn't do much, just kind of got mauled. Then afterward, he said he was injured, which always feels like that moment in Call of Duty when someone loses and immediately yells, "My controller was broken." And then the UFC said, "You lost every round? Congrats, title shot." I swear, if you've got star power and a sugar-themed nickname, you get more chances than a Marvel reboot. So, who wins? This is the ultimate, can Sean stay standing and snipe versus can Merab take down, loop him into a coma situation. If Merab gets takedowns, and history says he will, he's going to do what he always does. Put Sean on the mat, let him up, and then politely slam him again like they're on a date and the mat is home. But if Sean is healthy this time, big if, he's got the footwork, the timing, and the power to keep Merab honest. Merab gets hit a lot. He just eats shots and keeps shooting like a possessed Roomba, and if Sean finds the timing for one of those sniper rights or a sneaky uppercut as Merab shoots, he can end it. Sure, Merab isn't a finisher. He doesn't do a ton of damage. He wins rounds, not faces. That gives Sean time. 5 full rounds to find the chin, land the shot, and moonwalk out of there with the belt and a TikTok edit already queued up. Official pick, Sean O'Malley, by KO in round 3. Yup, we're jumping back into the chaos pool. Because if Sean is healthy, if he actually throws, and if the UFC didn't just matchmake this with their eyes closed, he's got the skills to land something nuclear. Will it be flashy? Yes. Will it be controversial? Probably. Will it involve more hair dye than an anime convention? Absolutely. But hey, that's Suga. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a beat when the next video drops. And don't be shy. Leave a comment below and let me know who you got winning this fight. Let's see who really has the crystal ball around here. Until next time.